30s, mid-40s wale sare uncle of the societies used to play. I mean, all these were all my friends here in the society, and we all used to play volleyball at night. And just because I was the only girl in the entire, like, basically court, I used to get a lot of unnecessary advice, right? You're not playing great, but you're giving me advice on how to, oh, blah, blah, blah. So at that time, I bought a t-shirt which said, it actually says it in Hindi कि आप कृपया ज्ञान न दें तो ही ठीक है.
इंडिया में ना even phone करके people have a lot of ज्ञान to pillow us. I've just noticed that. And sometimes it is from your own family also. Older women who've obviously brought up kids have much more experience. And sometimes I don't want to be cocky here, but I just wanted to tell them that day and age when you brought up your kids and today is very different.
You know, this whole putting the child first, right? When you're I think when you in your early, you know, when you're a young mother, you tend to do that. Like, you know, it's like you're one level down always, right? The child is above. But I think slowly it kind of comes to an even. Yeah, I don't know if it'll go the other way, but you know, it comes to an even, and I think that's a good place. And it takes time. It's not easy.
Thank you all for being here today, and welcome to the 8th and final episode of the Kind podcast recording. And I was just wondering if you could start off with everyone introducing themselves and just telling us. Let's start with that, and then we'll do a round of how all of us are doing as well. Who wants to start?
Hi everyone, I'm Somhrita Chakraborty. I'm Vismaya's friend, and we were classmates. So I'm going to be 36 next week. I'm the mother of a 3-year-old boy. Very proud to be a mother. This is one of the most beautiful phases of my life, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be here. I live in Philadelphia with my husband. We moved here some 5 years ago, and right now I'm full-time taking care of my son, and on the side teaching Ashtanga Yoga to a few people here. And yeah, that's about it. I keep moving every few years, so it is currently life has placed me in USA, and let's see where it takes me from here.
Awesome.
Thank you, Shom. Thank you so very much for joining us. Go, Ashima.
Hey everyone, hi, this is Ashima Gupta. I'm a lots of things, but I think in the order of what I can remember, I'm an elder daughter to my parents. I'm a friend and coach to my younger sister. I am a loving partner, and my new role is being a mom to now a 7-month-old. I am very excited to be here talking to all of you all. Apart from all of these, I'm also a program manager at Swiggy, and I'm all about simple, joyous things in life, and you'll see a lot of me walking just in the greenery, or maybe I'm doing yoga or just playing with my baby now. So yeah, I think that's most of me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Yams.
Hi. So hello everyone. I'm Yamini. If I were to describe myself, I think two things pop up above anything else. One is that I'm a writer. I've always loved literature, loved books. Kind of grew up. Both my parents were professors, so I think there's been a love for anything, movies, arts, literature, kind of ingrained in me. So yeah, writer is like very strongly kind of something that it kind of goes into my soul, I guess. But the second most important thing, or probably the most important thing, is that I'm a mother, and I have a lovely 19-year-old son, a teenager. And so so it's been 19 years of motherhood has been a beautiful journey. Um, yes, it's like a lot of mixed emotions, but topmost is joy of just being mama to a lovely son. And I guess, yeah, and I know Vismaya and I worked together in advertising years ago. So it was lovely knowing her, and I'm so joyful that we still in touch, and it's an honor to be part of this lovely podcast with such lovely women. So thank you for having me here. Yeah.
Thank you, Yams. Thank you so very much. I just want to very quickly sort of give an introduction as to why the three of you all are here. I think it makes a lot of sense for us to also know and set some context. I'm going to start with Yams. Yams, I think I said this in my farewell speech as well when I was leaving OPB. If there is a mother that I want to model my motherhood after, I would say it is after Yams. And I have learned so much from her, the way she has brought up Neil and the way that little child has grown up to be this empathetic human being, 19 years old. I can't believe I can't wrap my head around it. With Somrhita, I know she had a pandemic baby, so managing to bring up your first child all by yourself without any help, that has been challenging for sure. And I know that there are lots of things to learn from there as well, and to ensure that we are fostering a community that can help people who are probably don't have access to their parents, their family at that point in time. And how do we make sure that motherhood becomes slightly easier than it's usually when you're away from home. And of course, Ashima, because you had a baby just around the time when we were talking about this particular episode. I think the time that we were in discussions and you sent across the bio, I think your baby was 4 months old. It's taken us 3 months to plan this and finally find a date that works for all of us.
Yeah.
But I'm so, so glad that we have the three of you here. Super, super, super grateful that you guys are here. Thank you so very much for being a part of this.
So I just want to check in with all of you, see how y'all are doing, and we'll start from there, and then we'll pick up whatever comes up as we go. So how are all of you doing? Have you been good, great, bad, tired?
No, it's lovely. In fact, right now I'm on a little break, like a 3-day break. I've come to Coorg from Bangalore, and I come here after a very stressful period at work. So this really feels nice for me right now because I just took a walk outside, and there was a little stream nearby, and I was like, oh my god, this is why you need nature. Like just 3 months of stress just washed away in just like half an hour of being outside. So yeah, right now feeling good.
Awesome.
It's the same for me. I think the correct word right now to describe like my feelings is motivated and enthusiast, like really, because in general I'm like this because I've joined work after a long maternity leave, and I mean, I was wanting to go back to work. And last 1 week, I've actually gone to the office. I usually work from home, but I've gone to the office. I've met a lot of fellow, colleagues, and I'm just very enthused. Like I'm really motivated. I want to work for a while now, and I want to see how I also manage that with the baby. So, but like overall, I'm in a very positive state that way.
Super.
Somrita?
I am doing good. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm flying solo right now with my 3-year-old, which is an extreme sport, to be honest. He's a boy, so he's super energetic, and 3 years is that age when they are just willing to explore everything. So I'm good. Otherwise, very grateful that it's summer here in Philadelphia, where I can just take him outdoors and take him swimming and do activities. Winters are harsh here; they're very cold. So I'm happy. I'm grateful, and I'm good. I'm good otherwise.
Awesome. Super. So I think just want to start off with something that is perhaps on our minds, regardless of whether we have experienced motherhood or see our friends going through motherhood. what is mom guilt for someone who doesn't understand what mom guilt is all about?
I have an incident maybe that I'll use to explain what I felt. So in the initial, like the very first week after giving birth, I was apparently not able to produce a lot of milk, and she used to cry. And every time she was crying, I felt like, oh, she's crying because she's hungry, and because I'm not able to provide, I'm a bad mother. And that entire chain of guilt, ki, oh, I'm not able to provide for her. What do I do? I mean, I think that has been the biggest guilt, something that was not even under my control. And everyone's like, even like the pediatrician is coming in and they're like, oh, if mother can't provide, then let's do this. If they're so normal to say all of this. It's so normal for them to say all of this, and in within yourself there's so much guilt. Why did you even produce the kid if you could not feed them? So I mean, for me, I think that's when it hit me that okay, there is going to be a guilt throughout for one or the other things, and it started right from like a few hours after birth. So I mean, that was mom guilt for me, like the biggest one till now actually.
So, I think among the three mothers here, I've been the mother the longest.
August.
So I can come in from the other end and say that it's been 19 years. But even with 19 years, I still kind of, there are things, like this that happens. So, like my son is now a teenager. He's just, like this from last year and this year, he's started going out on his own with his friends. Like he just had his holiday in Goa a month ago with just his friends and him. So he's totally independent. He's capable of taking a scooter. He drives himself now. All of that, right? And he's very happy left alone as well, I think. But still, there's that I'm here without him because for years I've gone on a break. Always taking him along, packing diapers, packing toys, packing stuff, and so it's always been together. So it's like even though he's absolutely fine and he enjoys his time alone, I'm still worrying. So I think that's the thing with mothers that probably will take a lot more time to leave, or probably never going. I don't
I
know.
don't think it ever will because as someone who has a mother who's been a mother for my brother's like 29 now, she still does it for my brother. She does exactly what you were talking about for my brother and I even now. And we're like, Ma, we have our own Google Pay and we have our own Zomato and we have all of it. We're sorted. And she will still cook for us, keep stuff for us. And she'll be like, okay, there's dosa for today. And then for
Yeah.
tomorrow, you can buy bread that are eggs. I'm like, wow, we got it. We can do it. But
Yeah.
it
And
doesn't go,
even
yeah.
traveled, I packed like medicines and like all the emergency stuff in one bag, and I had to make sure it's a small bag. Otherwise, I knew he would not take it. And then I got cream and suntan and this and all. And just yesterday, I opened the bag and I realized the cream's been unopened. The seal is not even opened. He's back from the trip. I'm like, all right. Now I'm using it.
Oh man, this is funny. Somrita, what is mom guilt?
Okay, so mom guilt, what I realized after being a mom, so I've heard of mom guilt from my friends who became mothers before me or my, relatives, sisters, but I did not know mom guilt can hit you in so many ways, and so many times in a single day. I realized this. Somehow I feel like because I chose to become a stay-at-home mom, honestly, there was no other option here because we don't have any support living abroad, like family or anybody to fall back on. I took the seriousness of the responsibility a bit too seriously. So any small thing, and this would happen initially, I'm doing better with this now, but it still hits me. Anything happens that is out of place or goes wrong, I'm suddenly guilty that, oh, I should have done this, I forgot this, or how did I not think of this? So that kind of guilt hits me very often, and even now, my child is 3 years old. Like a simple thing, I pack everything possible. I literally travel in a truck when I travel with my son because with a child you have to pack so many things, medicines and toys and clothes and extra clothes, and you don't know what you might need, right? I was recently out on a trip and he was bit by mosquitoes. and I had forgotten to pack that, the anti-mosquito bite, the roll-on gel that I had.
Repellent.
I felt so guilty, and I was like, oh no, how did I not think of this? I've packed the entire house, but I forgot that small bottle. And then my husband told me, it's fine, it's just a mosquito bite. He's not gonna, it's fine. He can have a few bites. Remember when we were kids, we had a lot of mosquito bites on our body, so it's okay. Don't get so, worked up about it. And I said, yeah, I shouldn't feel guilty about this. It's fine. I mean, yeah, it was a slight oversight, but it's okay. So for me, the mom guilt comes in such small doses very often. But I'm doing so much better now as I'm growing up with him and realizing that it's not always my fault. So it's okay. Life happens, and that's how it is for everyone.
That's wonderful. I think you hit the nail on the head. The fact is, you will have to grow with your child, and as a mother, I think you grow as well along the years. I'm sure Yamini can talk to us a little more about it. I just wanted to have this conversation with regards to, there's something called empathic concern and empathic distress, right? So something that you view, and immediately, because you're feeling so empathetic towards the cause, it causes you a lot of distress, and you are not able to separate yourself from what is causing you distress. So you're almost experiencing what you're seeing like you are going through it yourself. And over a period of time, you will perhaps learn to grapple with what is happening with you. And therefore, you're able to show concern and therefore compassion, but you're also able to view it from a third person's perspective. So, Yams, I wanted to ask you, in the last 19 years, has this empathic distress and empathic concern sort of played seesaw in your life? And right now, where do you think you're at?
Absolutely. I think, like if I look back at the 19 years, when they're really small, from the time they learning to walk, or learning to talk, or when you have your first thing in school where you have to go and say some two lines or something in front of a whole class of people, or they have these show and tell and all of that, right? So so you kind of when you're kind of sitting with them, and when you kind of reading it out to them and all of that, and then on the day when the big day when they go, I think you're also like nervous, and you're also like worrying. It's not really whether they'll do well or get an award or first in class or nothing like that, but you just want him to be comfortable, right? You don't want him to go through that panic, or like that oh, yeah, when they come back home, that's your first worry, like, was he comfortable, like, yeah. So I think you do feel that. And then when it comes to health, I think it's utmost where mothers feel it. Like my son had he had this dust allergy, and he was prone to wheezing. There were times when he has had these, I mean, in fact, throughout his childhood, there was a lot of wheezing episodes. And in the early days, like I remember, he would come, and he's a baby, and he can't, like, he's going through breathing difficulties. That's the worst thing for a mother, because they can't express themselves. They're just going flush, and you just helpless. You can just give them medicines and just watch, okay? And they're going through that, breathlessness. It's oh. So that so yeah. So whether it is something where they have to face some fears, or when he was learning to cycle, like that stage where you just have to remove that the third thing, and you just have to go on those two wheels. I was reading him stories, and about this turtle learning to ride, and I was just trying to ease him into it. Then one day his father came, and he was like, okay, you're coming down with me. He just goes down, removes the extra thing, and he's like, you're pedaling now. Okay, and you're not coming. You're not coming back up until you do it. And he's in this heat, and he's it took me like some 3 months of building up the him into the right thing, and that was it. In half a day, he had learned to cycle. He just so I'm just telling you, like, sometimes it plays both ways. Sometimes they need that slow easing into it, which only a mother probably would think of, and has the patience to do. But sometimes you just need to let go, and just need to say, go do it.
Yeah. So safe to say that you can't really rid yourself from that empathic distress. You
Yeah.
will keep experiencing it, over and over again,
Yes,
perhaps.
but I would say, see, we've heard of tiger moms, and
Yeah.
I think at some point, some places you're a mix of all of it. It's like a woman in general, right? We know there is the fierce side, and there's a brave side, and there's also very soft side. So I think a mom also is a mix of all of that. So it's not like I've never been tough. Like, I've been a tough mom sometimes, but I don't think it lasts too long. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Question to Shom and Ashima as well. So talk to us a little bit about how you decided to become a mother in the first place, and also, like, every choice that you make in life, right? It comes with the loss of an other choice, right? And you have to make peace with it. You have to grieve that choice that you had to let go of, and then you come to terms with what you have chosen, and therefore try and be the best version that you can be in those circumstances. So what has that looked like so far, and what is it that you're hoping to do with motherhood?
Wish you know this, that I have made several such choices in life for which I've had to give up something, but I've happily given up things so far. You know, um, I'm an only child. I was brought up in a lot of different cities in India, mostly smaller towns. So you know how it is. I'm super close to my parents. I feel the responsibility that I'm the only one who's they're getting older, and I. So when the time came to get married, I was sure of one thing. And let me tell you this, I always knew I want to get married. The idea of having a family, I think it came from my parents. They're very much in love even today. Every Saturday, they still go out on dates. Every Saturday, without fail. They go to a temple and then they go for their date. I'm like, it's a weird combination, but anyway, it works for them. So I knew seeing my parents growing up that I wanted a partner. I wanted to have a life like this. I wanted to bring a child into this world, raise the child, make him or her a good citizen of the world. I had that ideal in my mind. So the decision to become a mother, I think I'd taken up quite early in life, even when I was probably a schoolgirl. I knew that this is something going forward in life I want for myself. I want to be a mother. I want to have a family. When the time came to get married, I was very adamant that I'm not going to marry a guy who lives outside India, which is often the case. I had an arranged marriage, so when you start looking at proposals for arranged marriage, a lot of guys from India, they are well educated and they step out of the country for better opportunities, right? So uh, everything was abroad, and I was like, what is wrong? No way. Living in Bangalore, I will keep living in Bangalore. I have a great job. I was very happy with what I was doing, where I was professionally, my social life. But things happened. I got married to a guy who was at that point living in Ivory Coast, Africa. Everybody who knew me, they were like, what's wrong with you? Why are you leaving India to theek hai, but Ivory Coast, Africa, we have not even heard of this country. Where are you going? And some people actually told me, you are a good looking, well to do girl. What was so bad love? What was the need to marry a guy that they are feeling like I'm getting nothing, so I'm leaving everything and going to Africa? Anyway, it was a conscious decision. And when I was still talking to Shaurya before we got married, he told me, he knew that, listen, I know you are an engineer, you are an MBA, you have a great job in marketing, you're happy doing what you are, but you know that you will be giving up a lot of this when you move to Ivory Coast with me. You won't be able to have the same kind of job. First, it's a francophone country. I didn't speak any French, so I had to learn from the scratch. I knew I couldn't go and have a marketing job there with my limited French skills, right? But I was like, you know what? Life, there's more to life than just that job. I was very confident of my capabilities, and I knew that I can do something everywhere I land up in life. So it wasn't like, if not this job, then nothing, what will happen? So I went in with that conviction and with that confidence. So I got in, I found one university that was Anglophone, where there was English curriculum. I started teaching BBA students over there. I came back to India, finished my teacher training program, and I became a full-time yoga instructor. Then I had a nice, good clientele of expats from all over the world. Then the opportunity to move to US came. And then again, it was like, oh, we are going to move. That's great, but I'm not going to have a work permit there immediately. So giving up this and then again moving. But I've always thought of it as a unit. I think as an individual, I'm like that when I make decisions now in life, I feel like I'm keeping everyone in mind. My husband, myself, now my child, my parents, everyone. So came to US, had given up that, again, whatever little I had managed to do over there professionally. But we came here, I thought it was the right time for us to, have a child, and we did not see the pandemic coming. So just as the pandemic hit, I knew I was pregnant and my work permit came. But it was a complete lockdown. And I was still coming to terms with the fact that, oh, I'm going to be a mother. And then what is happening in this world? Our parents going to be safe back in India? What's happening? Nobody's meeting anyone. And then we realized, you know what? Nobody is going to be able to come and help us out now for what is coming up. And we knew it was a big thing. We were anyway just dealing with this DIY life that USA is. Nobody helps you out with anything over here. It's all your own problems, sorted out on your own. So, well, my son came into the world, and yes, I didn't have a choice, in the sense that I was anyway not working, so I decided to just, prolong that break, bring up my child. My husband had to go back just within 2 weeks of him being born, my son. So, so yes, it's a conscious decision now, but I do what I can. But honestly, I have never felt bad about where, colleagues of mine or my peers have gone so much ahead professionally in life. And I know that, but I honestly have never felt bad or jealous or, poorly about it. I'm happy for everyone where they are there, but I'm extremely happy where I am, because I know that I'm doing something constructively for my family and my life. So that's why the decisions have been easy for me, because I've always chosen to look at it as from a slight zoomed out position, as a bigger picture. That as a family, as my life entirely, it's moving forward, and that's fine for me, and that matters. So yeah, that's been the case for me.
I can vouch for this. I think Somrhita is one person who's always found peace in her life wherever she's gone, and no matter what challenges are thrown at her, she's like, huh, kar lenge. We will do it. We will figure it out. The figure it out attitude is what I love about her. And yeah, it shows. It shows when you feel like you have decided something for life, and then when life gives you another opportunity and you're able to take that and take that in your stride without having any sort of bad feelings about the choices that you could have made, that speaks volumes about the person that you are as well. Ashima.
I think the first thing was when, I mean, me and my husband, we are love married and all. So, you never discuss these things as, oh, do you want kids after marriage and all that. We never discussed all of that. But after a few years into the marriage, I mean, I used to think, I used to even question whether I want or not. I didn't know whether I wanted or not, whether there was a strong yes or a strong no to that question. But I knew my husband wanted one. And it's very funny. I didn't have a very strong reason to say I don't want one. And I was like, yeah, if we decide to not have a kid, I know there's so much I will have to deal with, and I don't have such a strong reason, honestly. So I was like, okay, we'll see. And it was risky, but I was okay. I was like, okay. And anyway, my husband kind of wanted one, so I was like, chalo, okay, let's do it. And how did we plan on, like, okay, now we should have a kid? See, we're both banyas. See, a lot of things for us is just a profit loss statement. So we both sat down, we wrote down the parameters. Ki, okay, any milestone in your life, I mean, we had some parameters. Ki, is there anything that you won't be able to do with the kid? Have you, okay, this. Are we both okay with where we are in career? Can we be settled there for at least 2 to 3 more years? Okay. Oh, both of us are working from home. Tick. So we literally jotted down our parameters, and and then we wrote down like the pros and the cons. And the biggest factor, I mean, honestly, for me to plan it at this age and time for me was, I started noticing, like, late 20s, 28, 29 ka around, I started noticing that my energy levels have started going down. And I had started questioning myself, how do then I want to, like, now spend, because if I now have limited energy and time, if you're going to anyway have a kid, then I probably want to give them the prime of my energy also. I don't want to be very tired, and after work, I probably didn't even want to quit work. I mean, I wanted to have something of my own also, on the side, from a work perspective. So I mean, from just that perspective, I was like, if there's nothing left on our list that just cannot be done with a kid. And I, health wise, all of those parameters, right? We were in a good place. We were like, let's just then have it, right? Why delay it? And personally, I feel like if there is a change which is about to come, I just don't like delaying it. I'm like, come now only, so that I have more time adjusting to it and doing, just like, being with it. I know, because with every single day, you get better with everything. You learn to deal with it. So I was like, well, then let's just be three of us instead of two of us. I like to travel. I felt like, okay, we'll travel. Three of us will travel the world. ऐसे क्या है कि, oh, this can't be done with just the three of us. So I mean, we literally, it was a very pros and cons. I still have the list with me. I'm going to destroy it someday before my daughter starts learning to read. Uh, but it was a very banyan decision for us. I'm very not.
Or
I don't think I'm proud of it, but that's how it.
no, I think you should be very proud of it, and you should probably give it to her in a lifafa during her wedding or something, and be like, "You were a very
No,
well thought through decision, so make your life worth it."
I'll probably then just erase the cons part of it and then I'll give it to her. I don't want to show that.
I love how different, the
Yeah.
decision making has been. I also want to ask, what has changed? I'm sure there is a world of change that you're seeing, but perhaps if you had to pinpoint towards one thing that has really, really changed, like a 180, like a dramatic shift. So, what do you think that one change is that motherhood has brought for you?
Every decision now that gets made, there's always the child that is, keeping him in mind first. It could be taking a trip, it could be even going out to a friend's place. Is it possible? Has he eaten? What time will he be napping? Everything. When before a child comes into a picture, you really don't have to make so many decisions as a couple. You're just, and especially us, I can just speak for myself and Shaurya here, that we were like, oh, you want to do it? Let's go. We have planned overnight trips abroad, just like that. Like, we sat down one evening with chai and we were like, it's New Year's Eve 2 days later. Chal, Paris chalte hain. We'll bring in New Year's in Paris. And we just left like that the next morning. I can't even think about that now. I need 1 week advance notice to start packing, to start thinking what needs to be done. So I think that aspect has absolutely changed along with so much else. But now I realize this, that every decision we make, we're always thinking of our child first. So that's a big change.
This whole putting the child first, right? I think when you in your early, when you're a young mother, you tend to do that, like, it's like you're one level down always, right? The child is above. But I think slowly it kind of comes to an even. Yeah, I don't know if it'll go the other way, but it comes to an even, and I think that's a good place. and it takes time. It's not easy, but I think it's a good place. So my son is the proudest of me, of the 2 books that I've written, the pottery, the things I made and came back and I had stuff made for him. And he's so happy, to see me at my brightest and fullest and happiest. And when I take a break and I go for a movie with my friends, or when I he's actually happy for me. So it's not like, oh, you're going away, or he's not trying to guilt trip me, or he's actually happy when I'm my own individual. So I've realized that is the biggest learning for me. As a mother, you don't necessarily have to put yourself down to put your son, or child, as a priority. It can go hand in hand. Yeah.
Lovely. I think that's such a great thing. And this is what is said about relationships in general also, right? Whenever you are completely fulfilled, you're able to be a complete person, and therefore the other person that is with you will take pride in who you are and what you can be. And I think till the time the child sort of is able to mature and realize that it needs that support and help and that training wheel that we usually use for our bicycles, but the trainer wheel can come off at a later point in time, and they will also be able to see you for who you are.
After she came, and when I first held her, I actually had butterflies, as if you're falling in love for the first bit, like the one I must have felt at that time. So I think I had forgotten what unconditional love feels like. I mean, through all these conditioning through the world, even I mean, even with your husband, with your parents, there are certain expectations you do have, right? It's still a relationship with some form of give and take, whatever varying scale it is, right? But there is certain things you probably don't appreciate. My mom did this, or you're angry at her, or with the husband also. But with this thing that is in my hand, there is absolutely zero expectation. And so I mean, I think that one word, unconditional love, actually bore meaning for me in that moment. And ever since, I mean, so yeah, I mean, I think that was the biggest change in me. I have a very strong support system, and I very shamelessly rely on them, ask them for help whenever I do need. I have I have a very loving husband who's the 90 to me when I'm at my absolute 10, in terms of the house, in terms of helping with my baby, in terms of even pushing me to, if I'm facing any problems at work, he'll be there to help me out, to listen, hear me out. So I have him, I have my parents, of course. I have a very strong friend circle, if I have to say. And lastly, I mean, I have ample help also, house help at home, which is why I'm sitting here, not wondering about what my daughter's going to do, what's going to happen for the dinner, and stuff like that. So I have a very robust, thankfully, support system.
Shomata, this is where I want to bring you in. As you rightly put it, the DIY life that you're living right now, which means that, we take it for granted, right? Like the help who comes every single day, doesn't question, doesn't complain, and she perhaps like really loves the child as much as you do too, right? And you have that liberty. But then when you're living abroad, when you know for a fact that those kind of luxuries are hard to come by, and you have to make sure that you have a support system of a different kind. What does your support system look like, and how much of it is led by your spouse, how much of it is led by friends, how much of it is led by communities that you become a part of?
Having lived abroad for almost 9 years now, I realized this, that we don't have our family who we take for granted. We have that expectation कि ये तो help करेंगे, they will reach out. We have to build our support system here and basically choose our family and build a family, and that comes through our friends and friendships and other relationships we form here. So for me specifically, when I knew I was expecting and the pandemic hit, and then we realized that the world has come to a halt. There are no flights, there is nothing happening. In fact, when I used to go in for my checkups to my gynac OBGYN, I used to, my husband was not allowed inside. He used to sit in the parking alone because the rules were so strict at that point. You remember how bad it was, like no contact, don't come in contact with anybody, don't talk to anybody, don't open your door, don't touch anything. We were disinfecting, like, every single thing that was near us. I used to walk into the clinics or hospitals alone with the doctors there in those suits. I don't know what they were called, I forget the name, but it was so scary. It was super scary at that point. In fact, I'd like to mention I'm so lucky. Women who went in 2 weeks before me to deliver their child went into hospitals alone. Nobody was allowed with them, not even a spouse, a partner, nobody. They went in, had the baby, came out alone with the child. Then they were allowed to meet the family. And doctors were telling us that make sure the baby is not even exposed to grandparents, just a partner and yourself, the mother and the father or whoever would be your partner. That's it. So it was a very scary time. But we are very lucky, I would say, that we have good friends here. They are our everything. I have friends who, they take different roles in my life. And I really love that. I have a few older female friends who are like my elder sisters. They will reprimand me when I'm doing something wrong. They will be like, pull me on the side and be like, hey, that joke wasn't right. Don't make fun of him like that. Stuff like that. And I like that. I really like that. There are other friends who are just my age, some younger. So, and me and my husband have also, we are friendly people in general, but we have also consciously tried to make that form our tribe. As soon as we came here, my husband was Googling, where are all the Indian associations? Where is this Bengali association? We were barely 7 weeks old in USA and we found that there's this event happening and we just went there. We were like, let's meet people because we need to, form friendships. We are not the kind who can just be happy by ourselves in our home. We are not like that. So we've been lucky. We've formed good friendships who have become more than friends now. They are our family. I'd like to mention how, we're talking about kindness today. And I feel like there are two types of kindness. There's active and passive kindness, right? I feel like a lot of people are passively kind. I see that, at least in my limited experience on this earth. It's easy to be passively kind, but it takes effort to be actively kind to someone when you're trying to, take an action. And I have to mention that our friends showed us so much kindness and active kindness at that point. I was pregnant and nobody was meeting us. So one of my friends said, you know what, I have a big backyard. Bring your own chair, bring your own chai, bring your own snacks. But hafte mein 2 days we are going to have chai together. So imagine, Shaurya is lugging 2 chairs, I'm carrying chai, snacks and everything because we are not touching anything outside, right? We are carrying our whole setup going to her backyard. Everybody took one corner. But they were like, Somrhita, we have to see you. You're pregnant. You have to meet people. What will you do alone at home? No way. So they made that happen. Sometimes they've come to our parking lot and people have sat in their own cars and had a chat and then left. They just came all the way to sit in their own cars, talk to us and leave. So I recognize this and I am so grateful for these acts of kindness that have been extended to me. So, so this is my support system. I can reach out to them. I can ask for help if need be. I'll be honest, we don't ask for help unless it is absolutely necessary. We know that everyone is leading this kind of life that we are leading. They have jobs, they have children. They're doing everything by themselves over here. So, but I know that if there is ever an emergency or if there is really that need, I will have my friends lead everything and, be willing to help us. But we are lucky we found our people, we found our tribe, and they are more important than anything else for us here.
I love how you've kind of, in some way, brought in that thing of it takes a village to raise a child. And I think you've built that so well for yourself. And like, I'm so glad that it exists because I think like something that Vismaya and I keep talking about is how we don't even know our neighbors right now, right? And in case of an emergency, what do you do? And
Yeah.
so like to see people still building communities actively, it's so reassuring as well. I mean, I'm sure for you as a mother, like that support system is so important, but also just generally, right? I think
Yes.
it's really nice to hear.
So I think I want to segue into something that is a little external to us, right? So a lot of the times when you're either becoming a mother or when you're going through the various hoops of motherhood, the society has a lot of things to say. A lot of advice for you, a lot of this is the right thing to do, this is not the right thing to do, right? Like something that 100% works, right? Like it's almost like dadi ma ke nuske has to work. If it doesn't work, then it's not something that you are doing correctly, right? So in your opinion so far, one, what is the most bizarre advice you have gotten so far? Something that just hasn't worked for you, something that somebody really assumed, we have like I already see Ashima breaking into a smile. So let me just
All three of them.
I'll complete. So one bizarre advice and another possibly helpful advice, because we can't always brush everything under the carpet and be like, okay, everything that they say is just false or something that's extremely subjective, right? And how are you able to be discerning when people are either trying to be helpful, or at least they are thinking that they're being helpful or they're being kind, whereas the intention may be to help, but ultimately what is meted out is unkindness. So how do you manage to grapple with these things?
I have a T-shirt that I bought when I used during COVID. We used to play volleyball, and I used to be the like it was I think I think mid 30s, mid 40s wale sare uncle of the societies used to play. I mean, all these were all my friends here in the society, and we all used to play volleyball at night. And just because I was the only girl in the entire like basically court, I used to get a lot of unnecessary advice. Right, you're not playing great, but you're giving me advice on how to blah blah blah. So at that time, I bought a T-shirt which said. It actually says it in Hindi कि आप कृपया ज्ञान न दें तो ही ठीक है. So I used to wear that in my volleyball coat. And throughout my pregnancy, you would not be like, and I'm not kidding. Throughout my pregnancy, every time I knew that, even if my mom, if I'm on a video call with her and I know she's today something is happening, she's going to give me some random gyan. I would wear the T-shirt and sit like this with her. So she saw it once and she's like, "What is there? What is it written?" And I told her, and then she started laughing. I mean, so I just made my personality in a manner where people refrain, and I've used methods so that people end up not giving me advice. They know, I mean, they can think anything about me. They feel, maybe if they feel I'm cocky or whatever, arrogant, whatever, but I'm okay. But I need my peace of mind, and the day I need advice, I will come to you. I will. And even after all of this, people give advice. So my parents used to say, do kaan hai, ek kaan se suno, ek kaan se nikal do. So I am very much on for that. I will listen to you very patiently and all. But whatever I want to do, I mean, at the end of the day, I live here all alone in Bangalore. Nobody cares what I do. I will always say yes, and I'll do whatever I want to do. So I don't have a bizarre advice to share, but I have a bizarre technique to avoid
I love this.
yeah.
I have noticed India में ना even phone करके people have a lot of ज्ञान to pillow us. I've just noticed that, and sometimes it is from your own family also. Older women who've obviously brought up kids have much more experience, and sometimes I don't want to be cocky here, but I just wanted to tell them that that day and age when you brought up your kids and today is very different. I mean, I really appreciate that you're coming from a good place. You're trying to help me with whatever advice you have to give me at that point. But sometimes it was just so random and so not relevant. I could realize that, and I myself was a first time mother. So, but then my philosophy in life is whatever comes my way, I counter that with kindness. So I used to be like, "Ha, auntie, ji, bilkul, main karungi, bilkul, bilkul, ha, ha." I'm that type. I will say just to shut that person up and have him or her off my back. I will say, I will agree. 2 plus 2, 5. Okay, yes, 5. Absolutely. I'm that kind. Because I realized I have so much to deal with in life, and my energies need to be spent in so many different ways, and I only have limited energy. So I have learned to not expend energy on things that don't really require my attention and efforts.
I mean, not like you can stop those, but you can, like Ashima, we can learn how to deal with it, I guess, either overtly or just like you just say, hey, you know what, you're entitled to your opinion. I will listen to it if I have the bandwidth for it, and then perhaps just like say, okay, fine, and still do whatever I have to, which
Yeah.
I think
And
is
I just
the
like to mention here sometimes, with all this calmness and everything that I'm showing here, I do tend to get sometimes extremely defensive. I don't know why. I just get super irked up suddenly for no reason. Not for no reason, but that also happens. So it's not like I will have it all together all the time. Sometimes I'll just snap back and be like, you know what, just leave me alone. I'm telling you, it's not working, so it's not working. Just let it be. Because I think it's the constant, it's like arrows, they're being shot at you constantly. Da, 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 do this, do that. Oh, you're not doing this. Oh, you're not doing that. After a point, you're like, hey, I'm doing everything I can. It's still not working. Maybe there's something else. Can you please stop? So, yeah, there have been instances where I've lost my cool a little bit because I was just too overwhelmed with all that coming my way. But I try not to. I try to be cool and kind about it.
Over the years, I think I've realized that, as he grew, like right now, Neil, he's in his explorative stage, and I'm enjoying it. I'm just sitting back, like he's colored his hair, so which I realized that a lot of parents, like in my apartment itself, it's like, oh my god, and it's colored blue, by the way. So, and a while ago it was like brown, and it was golden and all of that. Okay, so he's going through, and I'm actually now able to just I'm loving it. In fact, I'm as excited as he is when he wants to do it. And but I know that there are people in the apartment itself, like mothers, who have said like, I'm never going to allow him to grow his hair. Neil is long hair. Like, so so there's a box a lot of people have, that they and I realize that I am quite able to be very loose about it, and I'm happy that way. And so I think it's like, so it's not bothering me anymore. I'm like, Neil is happy, he's becoming his own person, he's enjoying it, and I'm enjoying it with him. It doesn't matter anymore whether someone thinks he's wacko or somebody else thinks it's whatever right, somebody else thinks it's wrong. Even in when it came to his choice of music, or him going in for design, but keeping music close to heart. There were advices that came our way saying, don't do this, don't do that, but the very same people who advised against something, I've seen their own children end up doing that, so
I love this. I wanted to use this opportunity to ask a very selfish question. And this is the last question before we move into our next segment, which is the rapid fire. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Now, over the last few months, something that has been happening in therapy for me is I'm working with my therapist to figure out why is it that I want to become a mother at all, because that's been one of the primary factors on the basis of which a lot of partnerships have fallen through, because like I'm at that stage where I really want to make sure that the person's also at least thinking about it and is not shut off to the idea of becoming a parent, because I feel like at least now when everybody is more inclined to situationships and casual relationships and things like that, putting your expectation of what you need as a human being is very important, right? um, so one of the things that came up was, okay, why is it that you want to become a mother at all? And while I was digging deeper, there is this fear that is cropping up. And the fear is also getting amplified because of everything that is happening in the world around us. And how, today, like some of my friends who have girl children are just like, is this the kind of world that we want to bring a child into? And some of my friends who are in places like Delhi, where the air quality index is really poor, they're like, is this a place that we are leaving behind for our children? And to make matters worse, I guess, we also work with the climate action philanthropy, which just exposes us to all the happenings around the world, and how gloomy and doomy the situation really is. So, given all of that information, one question is, how are you able to reconcile with some of these pieces of news that happen around you? And what is it that you tell yourself? Because I believe that the mother needs to be really strong, because it's literally like taking a piece of your heart and putting it out there into the world, right? So that, how do you really like grapple with all that is happening in the world? The second question is, do you sometimes wonder that in a bid to give our children the best, we're also perhaps being unkind to our environment at large, or the world at large? Because the second question is what really like plagues me. It's about the utilization of resources. It's about what kind of lifestyle we want to have and leave behind for our children. And in a bid to do that, what is it that we're actually doing for the environment or against the environment? So yeah, just want to hear your thoughts on these two questions.
Initially I was talking about how I had a feeling that I might not want a kid. All the things that you said, right? They were primarily like these macros were the reasons. I didn't have any reason of my own, right? I just felt like, oh, the world is anyway going to end. Oh, flooding will happen. And all of these things used to come in my mind. And when you read news and all also, right? There's nothing good. What am I exactly going to give to the baby if I bring them? I used to think like that. But what has changed now, right? When let's say, I mean, very recently things are going on, and I have a baby girl, and there's a pit of anger, there's a pit of, it's just a dark pit in my stomach, and I do feel like what exactly is gonna, like, what if a lot of things like these come to my mind. But earlier I used to think, oh, what is the point of bringing the kid into the world like this? Now, what I feel like, now I think, how I think is, okay, how will I equip her to deal with something like this? So, uh, and especially with the very recent happenings, I have actually started to think like I've actually been forced to think about what I would do if I were in such a situation, or if anyone I knew was in a situation like that. So I mean, in general, I've just changed a little bit on the course of my thinking, where I don't think how I can, if and whether I can skip the problem, but I think about how I'm going to deal with it. That's a shift in my mindset that I've already seen.
Yeah, it got me thinking. This is such a good question, and honestly, it is not something that we've not thought of as parents. I'd just like to mention here, two of our closest friends, they're couples, they're child free by choice. Okay, they love Ren, my son, so much. They're extremely loving people, kind people, but they decided early on, as couples, that they did not want children. Now, obviously, as somebody who's not part of the couple, I have no right to ask them what was the thinking in your mind when you made that decision. But since we're close and girls talk when we have a few drinks, so it was over one of such of our girls' night outs, or I don't remember when these friends of mine, they just opened up on their own. And this was one of the main reasons for them to not bring a child into this world, because they are not very optimistic about our future.
Right.
Future of the planet. They feel that humankind in general is not getting any kinder. There's definitely evil on the rise. There are so many issues, and we cannot deny it. I mean, I could not sit there and have a debate with her when it came to this part, because I agree with them on this, that yes, I am a parent now, And I often have nights where I've gone to bed and I'm just thinking that, what is the world going to look like when Ren is 20 years old, 30 years old? You know, it does bother me. But having said that, maybe we are selfish. For me, that was not a reason to not have a child. Like I said, I was pretty young in life when I had envisioned this concept of family for myself. Now, the funny part is, my husband wants many, many kids. He's the type who gets more the merrier. He came back one day feeling so happy because he saw Indian friends of ours. They have 3 daughters. He was like, it was so cute. On the back seat, all 3 were in their car. So the car was completely full. I was like, don't even think about it. Nice, good for them, but humse na ho payega, theek hai? So he comes from big families, and he loves the idea of many children. And in US also, it's kind of a normal thing. We see families with 4 or 5 kids on an average.
Right.
So I'm not for having that many kids, but what I'm trying to say is, maybe it was a selfish decision on our part to have a child of our own. But I justify it to myself, probably thinking that I'm going to try. Both of us will try to do our best to bring him up as someone who is able to, or at least trying to make a positive change in this world. Because I genuinely feel like we need people. People will only make a change in this world, right? I mean, either we can all just die and the planet will come back to life on several centuries later, or we can have more and more people who have been equipped with the knowledge or the basic, I feel like, their foundation. And I don't know, this is a strong belief in me that good people with good intentions can set out to make positive changes in this world. And I've seen it. I know these changes are very small, but I feel like they're building blocks. कहते हैं ना, बूंद बूंद से ही सागर बनता है. So I truly believe in that. Like I said, I think in the bio I had sent across to Dhriti earlier when we were talking about having this podcast, I said that motherhood is an implication of hope. And hope drives so much of what we do as parents, not just as a mother. This applies to parents in general. You're hoping that things will be fine. We're hoping that our child will be a certain way, or make the what he does for as a profession, or who he chooses as a life partner, or things like that. At least for now, it doesn't bother me. At least I can say I'm broad-minded in that sense. That is not something that I'm worried about. What worries me is, what is the kind of world that he's going to be living in when he grows up, and whether he can make a positive impact. If not to the planet, to the people. So that will be my small quest while I bring up my child.
Yeah, I think that's so well summed up, right? And also coming from mothers who have young children who are out there doing things in the world, conquering the world. Neil is doing that. Ren is getting ready for that. Ashima's baby is going to become a toddler soon. So this gives a lot of hope for people who are sitting on the fence about decisions like this as well, right? Super.
We do this at the end of all our episodes or beginning. And so it's just a simple question, and you can answer with one word, a sentence, whatever you're comfortable with. So the first question is, why is kindness important to you as individuals?
For me, because, like I said, it gives me hope. I feel like kindness is one of the only ways which can change things for the better. And I've received kindness, felt good about it, and I want to put it out in the world as well. It's as simple as that.
Hey, I think it is only natural. I mean, to be kind, at least in today's world. So, yeah, that is about it.
Yeah, I mean, imagine a world without kindness. I mean, if, all of us just chose to become unkind. I mean, it'll be so, it'll be even more worse and scary and, fearful. So, I mean, and, I can't think of anything negative that kindness brings. And and whatever kindness is brought, I think has always been positive. And so yeah, I mean, go for the, go for something that makes you feel good inside, and it's what makes you, sleep right. Even if you at that moment it looks like you lost and somebody else won, but when you go to sleep you have a good night's sleep because you know you did the right thing, and that's what kindness does to you, I think. And eventually, there'll be a day when whoever at that moment thought they won, also realize it. Probably they'll tell you, they may not tell you, but I know they'll realize it.
I love that. Okay. Can kindness be learned?
Definitely, yes, I would say. Definitely, definitely. I think that's where mothers come in the most. I think parents, both mothers and fathers, I think the biggest thing you can pass on to your child is that to be, to choose the right thing, to stand up for what is right, what is kind. I think if you have that, rest is done.
I so believe that. I actually wanted to say this earlier as well. Like, to your point, Somrhita, earlier about how you want to raise your baby to be like a good human. I feel like most of our parents have just once you set that foundation, everything that they do follows with that base instinct. And so, I mean, since you're already thinking about it, it will happen. Like, I think that's a first step that a lot of parents don't take because they're like, oh, they have to be good at school, they have to be good at this. But if this is something you're actively thinking about, it'll happen without a problem.
I also think I second Yamini. It can be learned, and sometimes I don't know, maybe through reading, sometimes through talking. Sometimes when you experience kindness, is how you learn kindness can what form it can take. Right? I told you I have a very solid support system. I have friends and all. I am a person who used to look at relationships with a certain level of give and take, and I have become much more thoughtful, much more kinder in my relationships. So even like with personal experience, I feel like definitely kindness can be learned.
In today's day and age, I don't think it's my personal opinion. I mean, like many people can choose to disagree, but we have come at a stage where we need to realize what are the more important things in life. It is not about your schooling and education and just the degree and what job you're landing. It's about your relationships. It's because I'm experiencing it myself in life. I would like to say I'm happy. I feel very fulfilled in my life, despite not having a job at this moment. Although I have put in a lot of effort for my education and everything, it is because I have found that the smaller things are the ones that have played more important roles, and kindness has been, at least at being at the receiving end of it, I have received so much kindness, so many different spheres of life that it makes me happy. It makes me feel whole. So that is what I want to. I hope for all children in the future. I hope they can receive that.
Okay, so the next one kind of flows well to what Shamrita just said. So how would you like to receive more kindness from the world? Because I think we talked briefly about how everyone's telling us, telling you all how to mother.
Yeah.
So how would you like to receive more kindness from the world, from people around you?
Especially from a working mother's perspective of, like, or, in general, I think a lot of us, individually, while we know certain things, when we come to a collective environment, like say a corporate, work environment or whatever, and you're working towards a goal and you have your goal setting and whatever and targets, and as a team you have to be this performance oriented team, and all of that, and you do all of that, right? You do all of that, but I think in the course of when you come together as a team and a collective group of individuals, you somewhere forget those individual needs, and it's like the collective goal is bigger than the individual want.
So this comes from, again, all this advice which is given off as, one advice fits all. I don't think that works, and people need to realize that as well. And it's okay. Every family is different. Every mother is different. Every child is different. Every dad is different. What works for one might not work for the other. and what works for them shouldn't seem weird to me or to you for that matter. So let's just, be a little more tolerant. Tolerance is, again, I feel a very um, evolved form of kindness. I feel like our tolerance levels are going low in this world. I honestly feel that. So let's be more tolerant and we'll be kind. I feel like I know what you're saying, and this often it bothers me that when I go back, it's been a long break. Will I be taken seriously enough, like I used to be, or where I was? But then I feel like if I was Somrita that was employed earlier, my new employer would probably be getting Somrita 2.0. I'm better.
Yeah.
I'm better now as a mother. I can multitask like nobody's business, man. Show me somebody who can multitask like me, because I have evolved over these last 3 years. I have learned so much more. And obviously, I've not forgotten what I had, my skills. And some of them, of course, I suck at Excel now. I should go back and learn that again. But these things can be learned. But I feel like women should be given more credit and more weightage when they come back after a break, especially if they are coming back after
Yes.
being mothers. Because
And
trust me, they're
yes,
coming back
and
big.
In my maternity leave, and I think inching to the end of it, and I usually used to play badminton, and I was going from front of the court, and there was this one person who I used to play with, a man, and he just talked, oh hi, how are you, and all of that, and then he's asking me, so are you going to go back to work? That is such a tricky question, because any answer I give might be, if I say yes, I'm going to go to work, not caring about what my child is going to be doing throughout the day, whether they're going to be like, this is one answer. The other one is, oh, you're not going to go to work, and you're just going to be at home doing nothing, not reaching your full potential, not being your full productive self. And this person's asked me this question, and he's like, he's just asked me this small question. All of this is going in my head, and he's just asked me, are you going to go back to work? And I'm like, then I just sort of thought, okay, what is it that he wants to hear? And that's how I answered. It shouldn't have to be so difficult. So my idea of receiving more kindness is, please be less judgmental. So I mean, yeah, I think just a little less judgment. I'm going to be very happy. Very, very kind world for me then.
And then the last question for our last rapid fire for this season. If kindness was a person, who would it be, or what does this person look like?
My mom to me, always. I don't have to think about it. And I'm sure most of us will agree this, right? A mother's kindness is the best and the biggest form of kindness I think each one of us has known.
I don't know. I have always loved Zen thoughts, and so for me, kindness is a Zen monk. Because there is a lot of wisdom also that makes and then it's a kindness that comes from wisdom. It's not just because I've been told to be kind, or because if I'm not kind, I'm going to get into trouble. It's none of that. It's just because of a lot of thinking, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of hearing, listening to others' troubles. So it's kindness that comes from maturity, kindness because it comes from wisdom. It's a kindness because of it's a choice to be kind. Yeah.
Absolutely. Ashima?
I don't have one person coming
That's
in my
fine.
mind, honestly. Yeah, but there's a bunch of people, and who've shown me unprecedented kindness, and who actually taught me. So, uh, yeah, it's some of my friends, some of my, I mean, I remember one of my firstest managers at work. So yeah, I mean, some of these people I'm thinking of, but I can't point. I'm so sorry to
That's fine.
one.
No, that's absolutely fine.
This is actually a good problem to have, no?
Yeah.
There are so many people who are kind. It's such a great problem to have.
Something I
I
like to
agree.
add is now that I'm thinking about it, of course, my first answer and my first instance is my
Correct.
mom, she's the kindest person I know. But I realize now that every kind person I know is also of very high emotional intelligence.
Yes.
That's a sign of a kind person. They have very high EQ. So everyone else who's coming to my mind, I realize that they also are extremely emotionally, intelligent beings. So kindness should be one of those scales that children in schools are, graded on.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not just about how much GK you have.
You know, you said something that could probably be the way we would like to segue into season 3 of the podcast. Because before season 3, there are a couple of things that we want to do, and one of the things that we definitely do want to do is figure out how we can push for kindness to become a part of the curriculum. You know, whether so right now we're aware that in a few syllabi it is included, and just like how we used to have moral science, it is included currently kindness and compassion. But to make it more widespread and to also maybe implement the whole catch them young philosophy, it would be great for us to see how that can be done. So that's something that Kind and the team at Kind is going to take on a war footing soon. So I'm so glad you mentioned that, Joe.
That's awesome. That'll
And
be the most beautiful thing.
Inshallah, it'll happen. It'll happen.
It will.
but with that, we come to the end of our last episode for the season. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here on at odd times, on holidays, early in the morning, uh, with babies to take care of, and like sparing so long to just
Yes.
chill with us and talk about this. So thank you all so much for coming and just sharing your lived experience. And it's been so beautiful.
And also, I think good time to give shout outs to our mothers, Dhriti and Ratul both. We really should thank them for perhaps instilling in us the initial seeds of kindness and compassion and empathy. You never know how that has sort of taken this shape. Perhaps we are so okay to do this even outside of our actual work, the paying work that we call. So I think it is important for us to also acknowledge them.
This was the 8th and final episode of Kind Season 2. And hopefully we will be back with Season 3 soon. But thank you to everyone who's been on the season and everyone who's helped out with the season and all our wonderful guests. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you.